Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you guys are having a good day because today we are about to embark on a slightly scary but also kind of cool adventure. I'm interested to see if this will pay off because today we are going to see if a bunch of bees can successfully fight the wither. Yes, that's right, some bees are going to fight the wither. If you have been keeping track of the development of this update, you might have seen people getting quite excited about bees being able to sting stuff, because bees will not only sting the player when the player sets foot out of line, ends up trying to harvest stuff from the hive without the adequate campfire smoke, or move the hive without the bees' permission. Instead, the bees will actually sting pretty much anything that attacks them with a pack mentality similar to wolves or zombie pigmen. You can pretty much expect that any mob, a stray skeleton arrow or something like that, will lead to total destruction of that mob thanks to the bees' stingers. And of course the bees themselves will end up dying in the process, but they will get a fair amount of damage done before they do. And that includes, in the case of the player, poisoning you, which is a little bit difficult to handle, although bottles of honey can actually cure poison, which is kind of a nice way of getting around that. However, the Wither is possibly the most formidable foe in Minecraft, maybe with the exception of the Ender Dragon, and a lot of people were doing experiments in the snapshot versions of 1.15 when the before the pre-releases even started coming out, to see if the Wither could really be taken down by a bunch of bees. And in their experiments, they pretty much proved that it could. However, since then, I have a feeling that Mojang has put a little bit of thought into whether bees should really be able to take down this ultimate symbol of destruction, and I have a feeling that it's not going to work quite as well as it did originally. But we are going to give it a try anyway, because we are nothing if not experimental in this series. It's kind of nice to explore the depth of these mechanics and see if bees really are an assistance in the fight against the Wither. Now, in order to get a decent population of bees for this experiment, they are all going to have to go back into their hives. So I'm waiting until nighttime to really take the bees on a bit of a trip. We are going to be going far away from my base so we don't accidentally end up destroying stuff with the Wither. And I have a feeling it will be best to do this in a confined space underground, because the Wither has a tendency to fly upwards, and I don't know if the bees will be able to keep up with it. So we're going to do this more or less like a traditional type of Wither fight that I would normally try and take on. We're going to do this in a cave. I'm also going to bring a bunch of flowers with me so we can breed some bees while we are there. And if I grab some sunflowers and some bone meal, I should be able to bring a whole bunch of those with me. We are going to be borrowing some bees from my first honey farm for this. Now that we have the other honey farms set up, these bees are coming with me to fight the Wither. I'm probably only going to bring about half of them because I really don't want this bee population to go away entirely, and if the fight with the Wither turns out to be a disaster, we will at least have the other half of them that we can bring back and maybe try a second time in different circumstances. Maybe try it with the the end bedrock platform killing strategy or something like that. We will see what we can do. But it seems like it is nighttime and the bees are now all safely inside the hive, so we're going to collect up 6 or 7 of these hives. In fact, we got 16 in here. We may as well make it 8. So let's collect 2 sides of this with the bees inside the hive. So we should have 3 bees per hive. That's going to be roughly 18 bees. We'll be able to breed up a few more of those as we go. And if I bone meal the sunflower a whole bunch, we're going to be able to get lots of flowers we can use to breed up a whole swarm of bees once we found a suitable location. Naturally though, with this being the fight against the Wither, I am not going to take any chances. I'm going to try my best to take down the Wither myself if, for whatever reason, the bees are unable to succeed. And so I think it's probably best if we bring a few potions with us to get us started. We're going to line up a few potions of regeneration, some, fire resistance in case there is lava in the caves, probably some night vision as well because torches don't always cut the mustard, and I think maybe a potion of strength or swiftness or something like that will be of assistance also. So I figure we'll do a little bit of preparation and I'll come back to you guys when we're ready to take on the Wither. Hey folks, welcome back. So here we are descending into a cave underneath a forest a few thousand blocks from the base. Actually, we're not all that far away. It was just a short elytra flight, really. And I have a handful of potions on me. I've got my night vision, regen, fire resistance, and strength. I figure that will be enough to get us started. We've got a little bit of a cave entrance here, but nothing too deep. So I'm going to dig down until we're closer to diamond level. Seems only sensible to have a decent amount of rock between the wither and the sky. And I'm going to place some torches as I go so we don't get too lost down here. Hopefully we should have adequate room to breed up a bunch of bees and then fight the wither. Oh, this is looking promising. I've just stumbled upon an abandoned mineshaft. I can certainly grab a little bit of wood from here, but I've not had, historically, particularly great luck with abandoned mineshafts and wither fights, mainly because there are too many extra corridors for the wither to disappear down, and sometimes these open out into areas where lava has popped out. Especially over there, I can kind of see a patch of brightness that either means there's a direct shaft to the surface, or alternatively, and perhaps more likely, there is going to be a little bit of lava down there. So I would rather avoid that if I can, and instead we're going to go deeper, further into the mineshaft, and probably, you know, tunnel off in a different direction that's going to avoid the structure of the mineshaft entirely. So having gotten this far away, I think we're kind of okay in terms of space. I think we should be fine to set up our wither killing area here, and I think this room here that I have dug out is going to be the place where we're going to breed up and keep all of the bees. The idea being that the wither is going to explode when it first spawns, and that's going to mean that the bees need to be outside of that area before the wither comes to attack them. Otherwise, the bees are all just going to be killed instantly by the first blast of the wither, and they're not going to be able to do any damage at all. In the meantime, I think what I'm going to do is have the wither down here and set up a second chamber here for the wither to spawn in, then run all the way back down here, break my way through this section, and then have the wither lured into this area. Hopefully that will work out, and then the bees can be let loose and they can sting the wither to their heart's content. If they win, so much the better. If they don't, we will have an escape in the form of this little 1x2 shaft down here that we can walk back into and hopefully take down the wither from a distance using a bow. And hopefully the wither will be so distracted by fighting all of the bees that it's not going to pay too much attention to us at first, and I'll be able to get a safe distance away. That is my hope, at least. So I'm going to dig out a larger area here just so the wither has a nice, easy, tunnel to go down, and then we're going to be able to release the bees from here and presumably have it attack them. The wither is not just going to want to attack a player either, which is why I think this method is going to be more successful than you might think, because the wither will attack any kind of mob, whether it be hostile, passive, whatever. I think it is still nighttime right now, by the way, so I might try and sleep. No, okay, so the bees are still trying to work in their hives for now, and hopefully once we get a few of them in here, yes, there we go, we should be able to start breeding them, and then we can escape into this passage down here and summon the wither down there. But the wither is going to want to attack any other mobs in the area, which includes these bees, and so hopefully the bees will find an opportunity to strike back. One thing I have noticed when breeding up bees in a confined area like this, when I was breeding up bees in the nether a few days ago, is that bees will sometimes fly up towards the ceiling, and in the case of the smaller bees, once they grow up, if they are close to the ceiling, that can lead to them suffocating in the block above. So if we're breeding up a population of bees here, we do need to take a little bit of care not to let them get too close to the ceiling, which is why I think it's going to be better for me if I hold this flower out in front of me the entire time and let the bees come to me. And it's going to be a little difficult for me to get out of here once we have a decent population of bees without letting a few of them down the tunnel with me, but I am aiming to have this place chock full of these guys just so there is the optimum opportunity for them to do damage once the fight starts. If this doesn't work, by the way, I have a couple of interesting ideas that we could do to buff the bees a little bit. I think a splash potion of strength or something like that might give them a slightly better fighting chance if their stingers are too feeble to take out the wither by themselves, but just looking at the chaos that has started to erupt in here now that all of these bees are here, I have a feeling that we might get lucky. Okay, as far as having a terrifying swarm goes, I think this is probably as good as it's going to get. So I'm going to try my best to bust out of here without letting any of the bees through. Perfect, that seemed to work okay. And now we're going to set up the wither at the other end of this tunnel, and I really hope that this is going to work in some form or another, because good gosh, it's going to be chaos. Okay, we'll set up the wither here. I'll probably chug a couple of the potions before we do, just to make extra sure that we're going to be safe. Down here, let's take some fire resistance. First off, let's take some night vision because the torches are going to be busted pretty much instantly. And let's drink a potion of strength. And now, hopefully, if we summon the wither over here and then let the bees in or out, whichever you prefer, hopefully they will not end up dying in the wither's explosion and we can make our escape through here. And now the bees are mad, and it looks like they are mad at the wither and not me, which is great. Let's see if the wither starts to take damage. They are certainly having a go. Oh, I can see the wither's health bar twitching a little bit, but it looks like it is holding its own. Yeah, these bees down here don't seem to have taken the swarm effect. We're seeing a lot of wither roses, which means it is killing the bees quite efficiently. And man, they're not really making a dent at all. They've taken a couple of stings, but I think one aspect of the wither I had overlooked for this experiment was the fact that it can regenerate its health quite quickly, especially if it ends up killing a mob, which it is doing en masse here, it seems like. Even though the bees are angry, they seem to be having trouble pathfinding to exactly where the wither is at, and so I might just be forced to take it down myself here. Yeah, I've got it started for them, but the wither is definitely regaining health just from bullseyeing a couple of those bees. It's a bit of a shame, and it looks like we have a lot of wither roses to breed up future bees with if we want to. The wither is making its way towards me, so... Oh dear, I just killed that bee by mistake, but that looks like it might have been the last survivor of our little experiment here. Let's see if we can just take down the wither ourselves. Yep, it's coming down into sword mode. Let's deal our final blows and be done with this fight. Taking a little bit of that regeneration potion just to make sure we can come up here and deliver a couple more hits. We are in hard mode, of course, so the wither fight is always going to be a little bit tricky, but I think if we sneak out of here... I should have brought my smite sword with me as well, shouldn't I, really? And here we go. The wither is down. Well, oh, that was sadly not what I was hoping for from the bees. They really didn't seem to make all that much of a dent, and I'm fairly certain we don't have any bees left even inside these hives right now, so I guess it's back to the drawing board. And while that didn't go as well as it could have, at least we got a nether star out of the bargain. Our poor, poor bees. I feel kind of bad, but I have a feeling that we might be able to turn the tide against the wither if we are smart about our use of potions, because you can buff other mobs as well as the player using potions, and while I don't know if resistance or anything like that would really take effect, if we gave them a Turtle Master potion and maybe a potion of swiftness to offset the slowness, I don't know if they would be able to resist one of the wither's explosive projectiles. But if we give them maybe a strength 2 splash potion, even though it wouldn't last for very long, the bees themselves are not going to last very long once they have stung the wither. So I have a feeling they might be a little bit more successful. And I need to drop off some of these supplies that I have here because, wow, okay, we got a lot of cobblestone out of that apparently. We can tuck the nether star away in the ender chest. For now, we can turn that into a beacon later. Got plenty of obsidian for that, by the way. And I think we will head back to our potion brewing room and see if we can whip up a couple of strength 2 splash potions, because if we can splash a considerable amount of bees with those, they might have a chance at taking the wither down. And I would absolutely love it if bees were somehow able to regenerate their stingers if they had the regeneration effect, or if it would keep them alive for a little bit longer, but sadly I don't think that is going to be the case, and there isn't really much else we can do. Should we give the bees a potion of leaping? I think not. Something tells me that's not really going to work. But if we can order up a couple of strength 2 potions, throw some gunpowder in at the end for the splash, presuming I have some gunpowder in there, good, okay, don't need to restock any of these ingredients quite yet. Yeah, strength 2 potions seem like the way to go here. And ignoring for a second the fact that my inventory is a bit of a mess right now, we have ourselves the potions we need. I've got a strength 2 potion for myself, a couple of regen potions, fire resistance and night vision, and then 3 strength 2 splash potions. The effects will not stack, but I'm bringing multiple potions to make sure we get coverage for all of the bees in the area, and hopefully this should be enough. We could even use the same little area that we just fought the wither in, maybe dig the tunnel out a little bit longer if we need to, and hopefully things should go a little bit better this time. Of course, it does mean we have to use up the rest of the hives from in here, and I'm going to wait for the bees to go in for the night before I start collecting these up, because of course the bees are going to get mad at me if I try and break them during the day. Even though there are a couple of these out right now, we will probably place in the rest of the hives after these have gone in, just to make sure that, okay, we could maybe grab some now as long as the bees don't come out in the meantime. Okay, I've successfully grabbed all of the beehives, and of course I forgot that each of these takes up a single spot in my inventory, so I did have to ditch a couple of the other items I was holding. We got a couple of those down in here, but I've got all of the important ones. I've got the potions, I've got the bed that I need to set my spawn point down there. We should be fine. Okay, here we are again. Believe it or not, the same place, and it's actually nighttime right now, so we can place down these beehives hopefully when we go to sleep here, and we pop the beehives in the wall here. We should be able to have a whole bunch of bees, and I set my respawn point here already, but I feel like sleeping through the night makes some sense. Hopefully they should pop out of the hives, and we could even... twisted though this may seem, breed them together with the wither roses, because it won't actually deal any damage to them unless it's like in the world and they are colliding with the wither rose as it's been placed down. You can just use them to breed like regular flowers. So these bees are going to be our brand new attempt at attacking the wither with some of these bees' help. I think we should do okay this time. I am doubtful that they will be able to take the wither down all the way, but hopefully they will get it a decent chunk taken off. One thing I learned from last time was that this space gets a little bit hectic quite quickly if you're breeding together a lot of bees, so I think we are just going to hang out here for a little while in a slightly larger space, and hopefully we should be able to breed up a decent population. We've got enough strength potions. I brought a couple of instant health splash potions as well, because I had those lying around. And then we're just going to set the wither up in there, and hopefully we should be good to go. It also hadn't occurred to me that we might end up sacrificing Dinner Bee as a result of this, because unfortunately, yeah, it was one of the ones that was left over in these hives, and I really can't bring that bee anywhere on its own. Maybe I could bring a lead or something with me, but yeah, Dinner Bee is going to be part of the squadron today, and I guess we can always, you know, make another Dinner Bee if we really need to, but yeah, just seeing them fly around upside down like that is never not funny. So I'm going to breed up all of these bees until we have ourselves a proper squadron of the guys, and then hopefully we'll be able to take on the wither. So be right back. Alright folks, this is the squadron. I've used up all but one of my flowers, which I want to keep on me just so I could bring them all down from the ceiling, and it seems like, yeah, aside from doing a little bit of work in the hive, the bees are all out and ready to go. So, I guess we're going to do this. I'm going to drink all of my potions before I leave this area. I'll splash all of the bees down here with a splash potion of strength. I'll keep the flower in my offhand until I can do that, and then we are going to kick this thing off. So I guess we can drink our fire resistance potion first, just in case there is any lava behind the walls. I'm going to drink the we got the fire resistance. I've got the night vision now as well. I don't have a strength potion that will last 8 minutes this time. That's what's different. So yeah, I guess we're going to the other side of the wall here, and we're going to do this. I should probably take this flower out of here first though. So here we go. Let's pop through. Let's try not to let too many of the bees into the space. Oh gosh, they're all flying after me. Okay, I guess I'll have to lure them back in here with the promise of sunflowers, then try and get them all down this end of the room if we can. That seems about right. And then if I can make my way through here, there we go. Just one bee on the other side of the wall. Dang it. Okay, I keep ending up letting too many of them through. I think they might all be trying to pathfind to some flowers on the surface or something like that, because it is taking me a little while. And nope, I just used up my flower, so that is it. I won't be able to control the bees anymore. Hopefully they all end up going in towards the hives, but we have a few around here. You know what? We are probably just going to have to tough it out like this. You know what? I'm going to head back to my base because my potions have just worn off, and I really don't know if I want to fight the wither without night vision and fire resistance, and hopefully I'll be able to bring back some more flowers and we can shepherd all of these bees into a sensible location. I feel like we have too many bees. I think that might be the problem, which hopefully will turn into an advantage in a second or two, but for now, it is very, very difficult to corral them all inside this space. The good news is that the adult bees Yes, okay, I think that's probably as good as we're going to get. I think a lot of the bees have now grown up into adults, if they were at all going to. Maybe one or two of these bees are going to end up getting caught in the wither's explosion here. But I need to start drinking the potions that I brought over, and hopefully we'll be able to do this in good time. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a tricky one, because we're going to have to run through once we have activated the wither, once we've summoned the wither, and splash the bees that are in there with the splash potion of strength. So I'll get that in my hotbar now, and hopefully these bees will act as the bait for the wither to go after, so we have a little bit of time in between so that we can splash all of these bees with strength. Here we go, get strength 2. Everyone, become strengthened, and hopefully that will be enough. And now the wither is free, and the bees are mad. And let's see what they do. Oh, I can see it taking damage. That's actually a good sign. Let's see if we can get the bees through a little bit faster. Yes, the wither is actually taking a lot of damage from the bees this time. And that that looks a little bit more promising than it did before, folks, but the wither is still regaining strength pretty fast. And remember, the bees will only be able to sting it once, which does seem like it's going to be a problem for us in the short term here. There's a skeleton down here as well, which seems to be, I don't know if it was attacking the wither or the bees, but it looks like the wither is winning out here, unfortunately. Yep, and the wither is now taking a couple of pot shots at me. The bees have done a significant amount of damage, though, and I wonder if maybe if we were playing on a lower difficulty setting, we would have an easier time taking the wither on with these guys, but it looks like we've got it to half health with the bees' help, and I don't think any of the remaining bees are able to do any damage. So it looks like it's up to me now, and I'm going to have to retreat back into my tunnel and use the tunnel method. Here, let's get my strength potion on, because somehow I didn't splash myself when we were getting the bees all strengthened up. Let's see if I can take a couple of hits here and try and avoid myself getting withered. There we go. The wither effect is taking hold now, and hopefully I should be able to dodge out of the way, get a couple of instant health hits in if I can. Oh no, we got killed by the wither. Okay, I guess I better respawn then, hadn't I? That is going to be the closest I will come for a while to losing some of my gear if that happened. I thought I could finish it off at close range, but man, the bees did all right that time. I think they were probably bottlenecked a little bit by the cave. They managed to get the wither down to like 2/3 health, maybe close to half, but I don't know if they are strong enough to finish the job. And the wandering trader is dangling llamas off the mountainside. Oh, it's been a while since that happened. I tell you what, folks, that's kind of a sign of how formidable the wither is still as an opponent. Right, let's get ourselves back over there and see if I can recover any of my gear. I've brought a golden apple with me this time. I've got my Smite 5 swords, so this time we should be able to take down the wither pretty quickly. Hopefully, fingers crossed, this should go a little bit better. The problem with those wither hearts is you just cannot see where your health is at throughout the rest of that fight. It looks like the wither has regained a little bit of health. Let's see if any of my gear is left there. It'll be a miracle if it is. I hear those sounds of destruction above, and it looks like, yep, a lot of my gear has been destroyed, and it looks like the wither is just standing over that zombie in the distance. I don't have a shield or anything on me right now, so I'm hoping I can just dart in there and take the wither on. Got our absorption hearts. I've got my smite sword. There is no better time than now. Let's do this. Here we go. Here we go. Take down the wither. Yes. Okay. Well, it looks like after all that time with all that good gear, I have finally ended up losing my stuff. Wow, that was that was quite the fight. And to be fair, in their defense, the bees performed admirably. I feel like they can be very, very proud of that sacrifice, and it's really a shame that all of my gear had to go down with them, but I guess that's what I get for playing with nature this way. I'm about to die again if I'm not careful. Oh dear. Should probably set down a bed and set my spawn point. Yep, okay, my respawn point is set, and oh wow, okay, the rotten flesh has just saved me at this point. Wow. Oh, I'm bristling slightly from that one. That was a bit of a setback, and it looks like all our gear is truly lost. I didn't spend 5 minutes coming over here, so it really does seem like the wither just took care of all of that stuff. So that's a little bit heartbreaking, but it's also kind of validating in a sense, because if you think about the amount of time we put into all of that gear with all of the blast protection and all of the stacking stuff that it had, ultimately, that is not going to save you in a situation like this, and that almost justifies, losing it in the first place. We are going back to basics at this point, and I think that is probably enough for one day. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. My name has been Pixlriffs. Don't forget to leave a like on this episode if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.